What's going on there, YouTube? And welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over Spider-Man. But we're going to jump back once again into the lovely Clone Saga. Whew, what a rough period that was for Marvel. But we're going to cover a miniseries known as A Funeral for an Octopus. Yeah. Does the world give a supervillain a proper funeral? Well, you're going to find out in this video right here. And also, we get a cool new kind of spider-like character from the 90s. Like I said, this is a very interesting period of time for Marvel, and this is another example of it. So, if you do like today's comic book video, hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. But here we go. So in the opening of this book, we pick up with Spider-Man going to the place where he had caught the killer of Uncle Ben. This is not a let's remember Uncle Ben moment. This was the base Doc-Ock used before he had died. Doc-Ock was killed, and Spider-Man feels bad about it since Doc-Ock has saved Spider-Man's life from a toxin that the Vulture had given Spider-Man. Now, after Doc-Ock saved Spider-Man, well, he was killed by Kane, the evil clone of Spider-Man. This was telling us that this takes place in the middle of the lovely Clone Saga. But after Spider-Man comes here to the lab and gets a sample of the toxin, he leaves to make it in time for the funeral for Doc-Ock. With Spider-Man arriving at this funeral, we see that they are actually giving a supervillain a big-time funeral, mainly because he was a well-known criminal in the world, that it makes sense to have all of these people who are family, news reporters, are just there to be there. Of course, we see that J. Jonah Jameson is there, Robbie Robertson is there, and Betty Brant. With Betty Brant being here, well, she is happy that Doc-Ock is dead since Doc-Ock had killed her brother a long time ago. And this is her finally getting what she wants. The funeral begins, and it begins with Elias Hargrove being the one to start the funeral for Doc-Ock. Now, he is the last alive relative of Doc-Ock, so he was the only one who could give a speech. Then we get another reminder that this is the Clone Saga because Ben Reilly is watching from a distance, knowing that he couldn't attend the funeral because folks would be asking why there are two Peter Parkers. Either way, the funeral ends and Scarlet Spider, aka Ben Reilly, leaves. There's even a page where you have Peter Parker come back as Spider-Man so that he can have a proper conversation with the grave of Doc-Ock, like some people do when someone close to them dies. It is honestly not a bad moment, so this is Marvel saying Doc-Ock is dead. But then Elias Hargrove is riding his bike home, which is something I'm shocked to see a grown man do in comics. I don't know why. Him riding his bike caught me off guard, but once he gets home, he is greeted by Doc-Ock's attorney who is dealing with Doc-Ock affairs. His name was Mr. Gerdes, but he hands Elias a videotape to play, which Elias does. It is Doc-Ock telling Elias on this tape that Doc-Ock apparently had planned something just in case he had died. If Elias follows Doc-Ock instructions, then he will get something really powerful. But since we already halfway through the first issue of this mini-series, we need some action in this book, starting with Vulture. And if you're wondering why he is young, he had a device to drain other people's youth to make him young. Either way, we have Vulture fight against Scarlet Spider, who is Ben Reilly. This fight does go on for a few pages where honestly it is Scarlet Spider actually being able to get one over on Vulture, but Vulture is able to get away by putting some innocent people in danger so Scarlet Spider can save them. Scarlet Spider throws a spider tracer to follow Vulture later, and we see Vulture go to some warehouse where he is meeting up with what is left of the Sinister Six. Before we can explore that, we see some government agent named Renford has met up with a guy named Moretti. We see that what they are doing is actually trying to make their own version of Doc-Ock mechanical arms. They are having some issues. Some think it won't work, but they have no idea that they are close to completing their goal. Another page to remind us how the Clone Saga was like. Mary Jane was pregnant, so we see her coming home all excited about having a baby, except Spider-Man is not happy at the moment because he feels bad about the death of Doc-Ock, like he should have found a way to save him. Finally, getting back to the Sinister Six, we see them all hanging out in this warehouse and realize none of them called this meeting. When they find out Doc-Ock's cousin, Elias Hargrove, called this meeting, and he tells the Sinister Six what's left of them, why he called this meeting, basically stating that the government has stolen Doc-Ock notes and are making copies of his arms, which we saw. So they're going to attack the base, but then the Sinister Six are greeted by the Scarlet Spider, who had followed the tracer he had put on Vulture to get here. So the second issue is where we see the first few pages showing us Scarlet Spider fighting against the Sinister Six. Now, something to let you know while we are seeing some of these images, Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man will not team up in this book, but they will both have to deal with these enemies. Like, there is no part where they run into each other and decide to work together, but have to deal with the same problem. Either way, after a few pages of fighting and dissing each other, especially Scarlet Spider telling Hobgoblin that he is not a Green Goblin, just a second-rate goblin. Either way, you have Hobgoblin, or Vulture, one of the two, being able to make another part of a building collapse on Scarlet Spider so the Sinister Six can't escape. Switching back to Elias Hargrove, remember, he was talking to the Sinister Six about attacking the government because they are making clones of Doc-Ock metal arms. We see him freaking out, thinking that maybe Scarlet Spider saw his face, but he then plays part 2 of the tapes that was supposedly left behind by Doc-Ock, except while he is watching the tapes, Elias realizes something is wrong and gets upset. Except we can't explore that concept yet because we have to jump back to the government agent Renhold and Dr. Moretti. They are close to completing their goal, except that is when they are attacked by the Sinister Six. Now, how did they find this place? Apparently, Doc-Ock's cousin gave the Sinister Six some kind of tracker to be able to find the base. So now you have the Sinister Six attacking this place. And of course, here to get those new set of arms. Then you have Spider-Man appear in the room to stop them. If you are wondering how Spider-Man was able to find these guys or get in the middle of this fight, well, thanks to the Scarlet Spider putting a spider tracer on Vulture earlier, Spider-Man was able to follow that to this point right here, since this Spider-Man is more experienced and knows how to fight against them, that he is able to beat them down for the most part. But while Spider-Man is swinging to the new set of arms that was made by the government, you then have Hobgoblin throw a pumpkin grenade, thinking that it will stop Spider-Man from getting the arms or actually killing him. This is the moment we get to see Spider-Man wearing Doc-Ock arms, which he calls himself the Amazing Spidey. So this story has officially gone off the deep end, but it is still a good story to me, better than most of the Clone Saga storylines that we had got. Really, can I say I like the idea of this, but also like the idea of this story only being a 3-part storyline and then being put away after it. But after a few pages of Spider-Man being Doc-Ock and beating up on the Sinister Six, again, what is left of them, Electro is able to shock the headband that was giving Spider-Man control of the arms, so now he lost control of the arms and he is going all over the place. But with Spider-Man now having a hard time controlling the arms, well, we have Electro and Mysterio trying to escape before Spider-Man comes back and continues to kick their butt, except they run into Kane, the evil clone of Peter Parker, who is there to kill these guys because he was trying to help Spider-Man out with his life, and this is the man who killed Doc-Ock. So now he is going to kill these two characters. So when we get into the third chapter, we see that Spider-Man is having a hard time controlling the arms, and the arms just attacking everyone who is in his way. Spider-Man at the same time is trying to find a way to break the arms off of him before someone is killed by him. Let's not forget about the Scarlet Spider. Remember that earlier Scarlet Spider was fighting against the Sinister Six. He had placed the Spider Tracer originally on Vulture and found the base of the Sinister Six. Instead of going after the Sinister Six, Scarlet Spider thinks it would be a better idea for him to go after Elias Hargrove. We then finally go back to Kane, who was trying to kill Electro and Mysterio since they are villains of Spider-Man and they deserve to die. Now, this is the moment we, Electro, and Kane find out that Mysterio was never there in the first place. It was just a robot pretending to be Mysterio. You have Electro try to attack Kane while Kane is being distracted, except Electro finds out Kane is something different, because Kane grabs Electro's hand and then uses his ability to burn the hands of Electro. So we are inching closer what could be the death of Electro. While that is going on, we have to jump back to Peter Parker, because remember that he is right now trying to get the new Doc-Ock arms off his body, which after a few pages of this section, you have Spider-Man being able to break out of the arms, which then he destroys them. So we are done with the Amazing Spider-Man thing they were trying to go with in the storyline. After Spider-Man had taken care of those arms, well, we see that when Kane was about to kill Electro, he has to run away because Spider-Man is about to swing by and he doesn't want to be seen by Spider-Man. So Kane leaves and Spider-Man finds a badly beaten Electro and sees that Mysterio that he had been chasing was a robot. He is left to wonder what had happened before he had arrived at this scene. Then we finally learn what Elias Hargrove got upset for in issue number 2 of The Funeral for an Octopus. Well, he figured out that the tapes he got were all faked because he saw the reflection of the city and Doc-Ock's shades, meaning that the lawyer of Doc-Ock was playing him, which is true, and we find out why. Because there was no lawyer at all. Instead, it was Mysterio himself who was behind this. So now the big question is, why would Mysterio do all of this for? See, the reason why is because over the years, Doc-Ock had collected a ton of information on different top-level mobsters in the city. Mysterio wanted to use this information to control the authorities and the mobsters, but the problem is that Doc-Ock had put all the information in a device. If the device does not open correctly, it will self-destruct. That is why he needed Elias Hargrove for. Except remember that Scarlet Spider has seen the face of Elias Hargrove when Elias was talking to the Sinister Six about attacking the government base. He told us that he was going to come here, so lucky for Elias Hargrove that Scarlet Spider had came here to save his behind before he was killed by Mysterio. Now, after a few pages, you have Scarlet Spider fighting against Mysterio. And of course, Mysterio is not going to be taken in that easily or at all. The way we have Mysterio disappear is using the device that Doc-Ock had put all of that information about the mobsters on. Remember, if it is not opened correctly, it was set to self-destruct. So you have you have Scarlet Spider grab Elias Hargrove and get out of there before they are blown up in the room with Mysterio. even though it could have been another fake robot. Then we have the book close with Spider-Man kind of thinking about Doc-Ock and once again thanking Doc-Ock for saving his life. And so this is the moment where you have Peter Parker Spider-Man saying that he will do his best to honor Doc-Ock for saving his life, which is a weird ending. But that is the last page of the storyline and the end of this video. So if you did like today's comic book video, please hit the like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's video.